Imagine waking on a cold morning in Victorian London and realizing that if you want a warm bath today, every drop of water must first be heated over a fire. There is no shower waiting, no hot tap to turn. If you want warm water, someone must first fill kettles, place them upon the stove, and carry them carefully across the house. For modern people, bathing is an effortless routine. We step beneath warm, running water without thinking twice about the convenience. But inside a Victorian home, bathing was a far more complicated affair. In fact, many houses in the 1880s did not even contain a dedicated bathroom. Instead, families relied on something much simpler: a portable bathtub. These tubs were usually made from tin, copper, or zinc. When a bath was needed, the tub would be brought into a room, often a bedroom or sometimes the kitchen, and placed near the fireplace where the air was warmest. But before anyone could step into the water, there was a great deal of work to be done. Water first had to be heated. Now imagine the kitchen of a Victorian house on bath day. The coal range glows warmly in the corner. Several heavy kettles sit upon the stove, slowly heating over the fire. Steam curls into the air as the water begins to simmer. But one kettle is not enough, nor two. Many kettles of water are required before the bath can be filled. Each kettle must be lifted from the stove and carried across the room before being poured into the metal tub. Then the process begins again. Heat the water, carry the kettle, pour the bath, heat the water again. Preparing a single bath could require dozens of such trips. In larger homes, this work often fell to servants. Imagine a young maid carefully climbing the narrow staircase with a heavy kettle of steaming water. She must move slowly so as not to spill the contents as she makes her way toward the room where the bath is waiting. Back and forth she walks, kettle after kettle. What takes only seconds today with the turn of a tap might require half an hour of careful labor in a Victorian house. Because of this effort, full baths were rarely taken every day. In many households, bathing occurred only once a week. During the rest of the week, people relied on simpler washing routines. Most bedrooms contained a washstand, a small table holding a ceramic basin and a jug of water. Each morning, people washed their face, neck, and hands using this basin before beginning the day. It was quick, practical, and required far less water than filling a bathtub. But when bath day arrived, the event required planning. Now imagine bath day in a Victorian family home with several children. The metal tub has been placed near the fireplace. Steam rises from the warm water as kettle after kettle has been poured into the bath. The father bathes first, then the mother. Afterward, the children take their turns one by one. By the time the youngest child climbs into the tub, the water is no longer quite as warm or quite as clean as when the bath began. Although this may sound unpleasant today, it was simply a practical solution. Heating enough water for multiple baths would have required hours of work. Sharing the bath made far more sense. Yet there was another challenge rarely mentioned in polite Victorian conversation: privacy. In many homes, the portable bath was placed in whichever room happened to be warmest, often a bedroom or even the kitchen near the stove. Family members waited their turn outside while the bath was being used. Sometimes a folding screen or even a sheet hung across the room to provide modesty. Even in respectable households, bathing could feel slightly awkward simply because the house had never been designed for it. Only later in the Victorian era did architects begin building proper bathrooms into new homes. Bathing could also look very different depending on a family's wealth. In wealthy Victorian homes, servants handled most of the preparation. They heated the water, carried the kettles upstairs, filled the bath, and laid out towels beside the fire. The master or lady of the house could enter the room once everything was ready. For the servants themselves, however, bathing was far less comfortable. Servants usually slept in small attic rooms beneath the roof. These rooms were often cold and cramped. Many servants washed using only a basin and jug of water and enjoyed full baths far less frequently than the families they served. Working-class families faced different challenges. Small houses often had little space for a bathtub at all. In these homes, washing sometimes took place in the kitchen beside the stove, where water could be heated most easily. Privacy was limited, and bathing required careful coordination between family members. Victorian bathing also required several small tools. Large natural sponges were commonly used for washing. Long-handled brushes helped scrub the back and shoulders. A sturdy wooden chair stood nearby to hold clothing and towels. Soap, of course, played an important role. Victorian soap was very different from the gentle soaps we use today. Most varieties were made from animal fats mixed with lye, producing a firm bar that could feel quite harsh on the skin. The smell of such soap was strong and unmistakable. During the 19th century, however, perfumed soaps began to appear. Manufacturers scented their products with lavender, rose, or lemon and advertised them as symbols of cleanliness and refinement. Victorian society placed increasing importance on personal hygiene. Cleanliness was associated with good character and respectability. But bathing also helped solve another problem common in Victorian homes: smell. Coal fires produced smoke and soot. Cooking smells drifted through the house. Outside, the streets of London carried the scents of horses, damp stone, and refuse. Regular washing helped families maintain a sense of freshness despite these surroundings. Victorian attitudes toward bathing were also shaped by unusual medical beliefs. Many doctors believed disease spread through what they called miasma, or bad air. Clean bodies and fresh clothing were thought to protect people from illness. Although modern science later proved that germs, not bad air, cause disease, the Victorian focus on cleanliness still helped improve hygiene. Some Victorians even believed that cold baths were healthier than warm ones. Doctors sometimes recommended plunging into cold water early in the morning to strengthen the body. Now imagine standing beside a metal tub filled with cold water on a winter morning. The room is chilly, the water colder still. Yet some Victorians willingly stepped into such baths, believing the shock would invigorate both body and mind. In crowded cities like London, another option sometimes existed: public bathhouses. These buildings allowed people to rent a bath for a small fee. Inside, attendants filled large tubs with hot water so customers could wash without heating the water themselves. For many working-class Londoners, public baths offered the rare luxury of a truly hot bath. Children often had their own opinions about bath time as well. Some enjoyed splashing in the warm water beside the fire. Others resisted the process entirely. Parents often insisted on a thorough scrubbing, especially behind the ears, a phrase that remains familiar even today. In households with several children, bath time could become a noisy, energetic event as siblings waited their turn. Hair washing followed its own routine. Because heating water required so much effort, hair was often washed less frequently than today. Women with long hair spent considerable time combing and brushing it before washing. Water was poured slowly from a jug over the head, while soap or herbal rinses cleaned the hair. Despite all the effort involved, bathing could still be one of the most comforting moments of the week. Imagine sinking into warm water beside a glowing fireplace on a cold evening. Steam rises gently from the tub. The crackle of burning coal fills the room. For a short while, the noise and work of the day fade away. But even this simple comfort reminds us how different daily life once was. Today we turn a tap and warm water flows instantly. For Victorian families, a bath required patience, preparation, and many kettles of boiling water. And so, bath day became more than a simple act of washing. It became a ritual, one that revealed the effort hidden behind even the most ordinary parts of everyday life. Now consider this for a moment. Would you have enjoyed bathing in a Victorian home like this? Or would the work required to heat and carry so much water have made the experience feel exhausting? For those who lived in these houses, however, it was simply part of the rhythm of life. A quiet moment of warmth, earned only after a great deal of effort.